Okay, so this is the August 3rd, 2021 circulation meeting, and we're going to record not only the meeting, but also we're going to do a little demo on how to use the patron modify tool. And I'm going to clean up my screen before I share it. Because Lord knows, everybody's got tabs open these days, right? So, all right.
How many tabs do you have open and how many windows?
So I have two browsers and I had like 3 or 4 tabs in each browser. So
Oh, that's nothing.
well, I got to step up my game, huh? All right. All right, so here we go. Here's my test server, and of course, when you install, first you have to install the batch modify tool, and it's pretty easy. You just you go to the tool plugins, and it's under tools. So, and just install it using the upload plug, and you can get it from I got it from the Bywater GitHub, or you can probably get it from the Koha GitHub, although I haven't really explored that one all that much. But once you've installed it, what you want to do is you want to go back to your circulation and you want to create a template. And I have a couple of templates already created, so I'm not going to go through that. But it's just basically creating like a user account, and then I label it template. This is the test server, but what I do is so staff don't delete these is that I make them as staff. I set them as staff so they can't be deleted. And then once you fill it out, I also like to put a note there just saying don't do it, but sometimes people don't read my notes. So after everything is created, you go to more and you set permissions. And then you set the permissions according to what you need the staff or the batch of patrons to do. So if you're doing like staff, we have CSRs or customer service reps. You do checkout, add modify patron information, and like place holds. And of course you save it. And my test server is a little slow, so it might take a little while to read. But once you've got your template set up, you grab that borrower number right there. And I'm just going to use copy. And then go back to the tool. Tool plugins. And my screen, this is in the way. But you go over to the action button over here, and you click on configure. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add the template to this box right here where it says template patron. And this template's already in there, but I'm not going to click save right now. But once you've got that in there, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to add your patron lists. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my tools in another tab. And then I'm going to go to my patron list, which is also in the tools section of Koha. You click on there, and then what you do is you grab your whatever list you want to batch modify, and you click on them. And so this is a list that I already created, but you can add patrons to it. And everybody on this list is not only going to get those permissions that you set up from that template, but if you go to them and try and change their permissions, you're going to get an error. And we'll take a look at that in just a sec. But if you haven't played with this, it's real simple. Just type in a name. I name all my test accounts after Marvel characters, so, or DC characters, comic book characters. So once you've created your list, you want to go up to here, and I think this is just an Opera browser thing, but it was doing it earlier. Let me try it again. You're just trying to get the list number on there, and it's usually in the browser. There we go. And so it's the list ID of 13. You copy that guy. And then you go back to your batch permission modifier. And what you do is you go down and you add a new entry. And first you're going to add the template number, which is the last one that I've entered here. You add a colon, and then you add that patron list number. So I think it was 13. And then once you've done that, you click save and continue. And it's saved. So now what you do is you go back to your plugins and you got to run the tool to add the permissions. So here's the batch permission modifier tool, click action, click run tool. And then you got to set up the template that you've created to the list that you also created. So I was doing that ILL template, and then I had my test accounts for the patron list. And then once you've done that, you do batch modify, and it changes all the permissions on those 5 accounts that you had on that list. And you can do, I've got like a list that's got almost 100 users on it, or 100 accounts, and I've modified them, not had too much of a problem. So now if we go back to our patron list and take a look at one of our guys, and then you go to their permissions, you'll see that it says that it's set by that template. Or actually, this is another guy that's sent by a template. Let me take a look at one that I don't have. As you can see, I use a lot of them interchangeably, so I don't think I use her for anything. Yeah, see, so it's set by that template. If you want to change their permissions, you have to remove them from this list. And once you remove this from this list, I'm going to open that up in the tab. Her permissions should show up like that. So when we switch or have a staff member that leaves the district, we have to change this, and it's usually pretty easy. You find them on the list, remove them, and then what I like to do is just click all access and then unclick all access and then save, and it removes all their permissions. But don't forget to do that because you don't want to give them like super librarian permissions. So that's basically how that works. Do you have any questions?
No, that looks pretty straightforward until I do it, and then I'll probably have questions.
Yeah.
Looks helpful.
Everybody in that has Koha is very helpful. So you just post a question wherever you can, and you'll usually get an answer pretty quickly. So
I have a question.
Sure.
So your Billy Batson was on the list, and he was already defined in a prior template, so it doesn't overwrite the new templates that you apply. Like, do they conflict?
He probably is. He's going to focus on that other one, the one where it says it was the user services.
Right.
It's probably going to default to that one.
He was already in user services, so since he was there, then the ILL template didn't get applied to him.
Yeah, I don't think
So
they
it kind of
applied.
trickles down.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can take a look. I never really had that problem because I'm pretty judicious on my.
Right. It's something that probably wouldn't happen in real life, just in your test server, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got the Zoom screen blocking everything. So if I go back to him and try and remove him from I think he was customer service. Was it public services? And it's thinking about it. So now we set the template.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is also an old server, so there might be a fix to that, but
Yeah, and like I said, it's probably not something because you would have he wouldn't be in two groups in real life, right? Two groups with
right.
different permissions written in real life.
No. Let's do a renew and see what's. So it gave him, it overrode the customer service template and gave him just the straight ILL template. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I figured it would be the opposite way because it was the first one, but I guess it's the last to modify is the last to keep the permissions. So
That makes sense.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, the only real problem is trying to keep these up to date, these lists, who's in our district and who's not. So
Oh, my other question. So if you go in and change the template patrons permissions, you have to run the tool again to apply that.
yes.
Okay.
Honestly, it sure beats, having to go through each person's account and click on something. So it's definitely a time saver.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might need to, when I get free time, employ this. Right now we do them individually. I do have some buttons set up, so like I can clear permissions and I can set some different defaults, but those also need work. So it might be better to just start fresh with templates, and that will make everyone's life easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't had anybody delete my templates, but we can have some overzealous staff here. So
I bet you could take away the delete option on anybody that has template in their name.
can you?
jQuery it up.
Oh, well, yeah. I guess I could. Yeah. Is there a post for that, or do you guys have the?
No, it's just something that came to my head.
Oh God,
But
my
I bet it's doable.
I imagine it is. My jQuery isn't that great though, so I'd have to get back into that. Yeah.
You could just toss it out to Christopher and George, and I bet they'd do it on a video for everyone to see.
Yeah. Actually, maybe I will. That might be a good idea. Hey Jennifer, hopefully that was useful for you. Do you guys use batch modify?
We haven't been, but it's something to look at now.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and see if are there any other questions or any topics that someone wanted to bring up. Actually, I saw there was a notice about Koha working with TripleI on in reserve. It sounds like it might be an ILL kind of like resource sharing software system. Has anybody heard of that or used it at all?
We haven't. We use Share It from Agent for our statewide ILO system.
Yeah, we don't have ILL at all.
You know, would it be interesting for folks if we got like Andrew or someone from Bywater come and talk about it on one of our meetings?
Yeah, it might be useful. I'm kind of interested in just the Koha to Koha ILO as well. I know that hasn't really taken off at all, in the States at least. I think that they use it over in the UK more, but it'd be interesting to see if we could push that along.
Well, click, Colorado Library. Click, I can't remember the rest of the acronym, but
Yeah,
we've been working with them and with Bywater on trying to get some more features added, and it's kind of a slow process. If not, I think it might have actually been died on the vine. It's just, there was so much missing and so much work that had to be done with it.
yeah. That's kind of, I know I talked to Bob about it, and that's kind of what he said too. It would be nice to make it work, because like we've got 4 consortia in Kansas now and some standalones that are all on Koha, different Koha instances. And if we could streamline sharing between the different instances like we streamline sharing within Koha, it would make it everyone's life a lot easier, because our statewide ILL system is clunky. At best, you have to update it every step, and that is very frustrating when you have Koha and all you have to do is check it in and it goes, and then they check it in on the other end and it triggers the hold and notifies the patron. So I'd like to see it happen. I don't know how to make it happen, but it seems like a circulation related thing. So maybe this group can help make it happen.
You know, I used to be an interlibrary loan librarian, and so it's kind of like it's got a little space in my heart. And so I definitely like, I was very gung-ho about it at first, and then it was just, when we started getting into the guts, it was like, wow, and it just needs a lot of development. But if there's other, libraries that we can get people on board with, I'm definitely game to start it up again.
Yeah, and my problem is we don't have a test server right now, so there's not like a good place for me to stick my nose in. So maybe if we can get a test server and get it set up between like our test server and George's test server, and maybe loop in you guys too, we could work on it more actively, and at least get some bugs filed. I assume there's bugs out there filed about it that would help it move along as well. But I also assume that it sounds like a big thing, and it's probably going to cost money to actually make it work. So
Yeah, I think that's what, our last meeting with Bywater is that it needed some money thrown at it. So
well, I'll just say it's a topic of interest for me. So if we want to pursue it, I'm game. Or we can just leave it on the burner some more. That's cool too.
so if so we need test servers to talk to each other, and then we need to create bugs for it to add functionality.
right? I know there's like Coautocola is a thing, right?
Right.
That's one of the ILL backends or whatever. So it would just be a matter of getting in there, seeing what's missing, and making clear how we think it should work.
Okay. Let me think about it a bit, and I'll actually go over some of my notes, and if I can, I'll talk to Bob, see if I can share them with you, or our emails about it with Bywater, see what he says. So
Sounds good.
any other questions or topics? Does anybody have any cool tools that they use? We use the email blast kind of thing. Have you guys used that at all? It's fun. It's not, it's very, very bare bones, but it's pretty cool. I don't think I have it installed on the test server, but maybe that can be a topic for another meeting. So
Is that the one where you like feed in a report of borrower numbers, and then you can send them like a predetermined notice?
yes,
Okay, yeah, we don't have that one set up, but I think it could definitely have use here. It's just another one of those things we haven't pursued.
yeah, we used it fairly well, and it's very basic, but it gets the job done. So
Are you guys using Twilio for text messaging?
no, but I've been kind of like talking or mentioning it to the head of our department, saying, you know, maybe we might want to do it, but we have so few people that use the text message that it's not really
It's not cost
can't just,
effective.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm stumbling over that.
Yeah, so we're in the process of getting it set up right now because we don't have a lot of usage. I think our last month we had like 5,700 texts go out, which is not a lot considering our size. But we have a lot of issues with messages getting through, specifically to T-Mobile and Sprint users. They just bounce and bounce, and sometimes they just don't get through and there's no trail to follow. So we decided to go ahead and pull the trigger. So we're working on getting Twilio set up right now for texting. And I think it's only going to cost us like $50 a month, which is not terrible at all. So I just wondered if you had any experiences, good or bad, with it, but I should have some experiences soon to share, good or bad, with it. So I'll bring that back to the group.
Yeah. Do they use do they do phone notification or just text?
They do have a voice notification option as well, I think, and there's a plugin for that. Like for texting, you don't have to have the plugin. For actual phone call notifications, you do have to have the plugin set up.
Because
Yeah,
Pueblo, I think it was probably like 80-90% of our users are phone, and that's just the demographic that we're working with. And we've been having some trouble with Itiva. I keep calling it Itiva, but it's Itiva. Working with Bywater, and it's just a network thing. So I'm wondering if Twilio does it better than Itiva, then I might justify going to Twilio. So
yeah, and we've never done phone notifications, so I don't have any experience there.
it's something on my back burner. So Lauren, has any of your libraries used Itiva?
They're all small and Most are international. We finally have one in North Carolina. It's our first one that's in North America. The rest
Nice.
are in Asia and Africa. Limited budget. So like we'll probably never pay for stuff like that. We'd rather put our money towards support.
Right. Yeah.
And they're smaller libraries. I do have one. The one we're adding in Nigeria, she wants to be able to send text messages to her patrons because a lot of them have, well, in Africa, everyone has a phone.
That's awesome.
They don't have anything else, but they've got a phone and they use it. They have more than one phone. Usually they have like 2 or 3 phones and they text and call.
Wow.
That was one of my first culture shocks. It's like, you don't have indoor plumbing, but you have a smartphone. Okay. It's
Priorities, I guess. Communication is important.
Well, and that is in Africa, communication it's very communal.
Right.
Mhm.
And the phone plans are set up different too. So it's cheaper. It's probably cost. Because you
Wow,
pay by
Africa
the
does something
minute.
better than we do, right?
They
For
do,
change.
yeah.
Good on them.
Well, they also have some good food. They've got this in Senegal. They've got this like fried rice chicken dish that's kind of like sweet and spicy. That's really good.
Totally off
Delicious.
topic, but my wife, her ancestors are from Senegal, and so now we got something to go. If we ever get there, we can have that. So
Yes, and Senegal has a bakery on like every corner, so you get it was a French colony. They have
Right.
really good bread.
Oh,
My brother lived there for 5 or 6 years. My
Wow.
nephew was born there, and so they're like, when they moved back to the States, that was the thing they missed, was being able to every day, every morning, they'd go send somebody down to the market that was like 2 blocks away to buy a loaf of bread and bring it
nice.
home. And you didn't gain weight. If he did that here, he'd gain weight.
How about you, Jennifer? Did your libraries, I'm sorry, I don't know where you're from. Do they use Itiva?
No, we don't do phone or print or anything like that. Everything's done through email and text. We used to do phone before we were with Koha, but it was just a nightmare with returning calls and people not understanding the messages, if it left a message on the voicemail and all that kind of stuff. So we were happy to get rid of it when we moved to Koha.
I wish we could, but our users would, I imagine our circulation would just like bottom out. So
I know that Barbara was using Itiva, I think, Barbara at Bedford, and she was working on phasing that out earlier this year, last year, but she may be a contact if you want to talk about Itiva for phone calls.
yeah, it's working right now. It's not updating the user's account that the notices have been sent or not sent, and it's creating a lot of unneeded notices in people's accounts because they are being sent and they are being received, but they're just not being updated, and that triggers a bug in Koha that sends out like a print notice, and then it sends out an email notice, I think. And it sends out an email notice, and there's no email, it'll send out a print notice. And it's just it's kind of a headache. So
I remember that same issue with texting, and that's why we never turned on texting for overdues. Because like, if they didn't have a text number, then it would trickle back down, and it would like flood them with notices. So yeah, that's part of why we don't have a large quantity of text messages, is because we just send the opt-in notices, not the overdue ones set up in the triggers.
Yeah, our users, or no, our staff really like the notice and the notice status on users accounts. They used that a lot, and they were pretty accurate when we first started, but we just had some network issues that just kind of hosed the whole thing. So all right, any other topics? So Lauren and Jennifer, are you gonna be able to make it to the koha-US meeting in Texas?
I'm not going to physically make it to Texas, but I will make it virtually.
Cool.
Yeah, same here, virtual.
I'm gonna try and be in person. Just I've never been to Texas, and it's good to get out every once in a while.
Yeah, I wanted to, but it got busy, and it's like trying to get there, get back, with everything else was going to be. And with the whole COVID thing, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to drive, or I'm not sure if flying, maybe driving might be a better option. We'll see what the powers that be say. So
Yeah, it ended up being quicker for us to drive. Well, for me, because I'm in the south part of Kansas, so it's a shorter trip for me to drive down there. It's like 6-hour drive, whereas I'd have to drive 2 hours to get to an airport and then sit at the airport for however long, sit on a short plane ride. It's yeah. So the Kansas, at least George and Greg from Nichols and I are going. I'm not sure if we're bringing anybody else with us or not, but we're road tripping down. So hopefully the whole COVID situation doesn't blow up further between now and then.
my fingers are definitely crossed. All right, well, I don't have any other topics. If you guys don't, then we could probably end this call and pick it up to our next meeting at Koha. Is it KohaCon? Yeah, right.
No, Coautocola is the international one. I think we can't co-opt that.
Okay.
So Koha-US conference is what we've been calling it.
Koha-US conference. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll have the rest of a good month, and I'll see you there, or I'll see you virtually. Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks, Daniel.
Good.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.